Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. So, in today's session, we are going to discuss something which is very important. And here we are going to discuss certain things which will very helpful for our CAT 2025. And it's all about the English section. And specifically, we are going to uh, look forward to discuss RC, master plan, right? So you can say that what every cat topper has one secret weapon, right? Not shortcuts, not random guessing, but strategic consistency, isn't it? And what I'm going to do today, I'm going to uh, walk you through a complete 4 week reading comprehension strategy. So that's built exactly the way CAT 2020 to 2024 papers that were designed, right? And on the basis of the discussion of those of the previous year's paper, as well as my own strategy, so which generally helped me a lot and help to most of my students. And those of the strategies which we are going to discuss and that will definitely help you for your 2025 CAT exams in English section. Well, the thing is that what I'm saying is not theory. This plan is actually based on 5 years of actual CAT RC papers from slot 1 to slot 3, and it shows you how to how you can train your mind for abstract, philosophical, and inference uh, inference heavy passages, right? So the kind that most students fear the most, right? So what we are going to do actually, uh, obviously, whatever we are going to discuss, I'll share you the chit set, right? And that chit set definitely help you a lot, right? So in this session, actually, means what I'm going to do, I'll break down how to use this plan effectively, how to pick the right passages, how to read for structure, not sentences, and how to use elimination tricks to stay accurate even under pressure. So by the end of this discussion, you will know exactly what to do each day for the next 4 weeks to master VA arts section, isn't it? So if you have ever felt lost in dense passages from the different kind of sources that you would find out in the net, that may be called as the Guardian, the Economist, or the Atlantic. So this routine or the discussion which we are going to do today will be definitely help you in that. It's not about reading more, it's about reading smart and decoding how cat really test comprehends, isn't it? So let's dive into the discussion, starting with the first week, the 20-minute daily arts routine that builds your base for accuracy, speed, and confidence. Right. So I hope you guys ready with me and what I'm going to discuss with you. The first thing is what the first thing is called as a daily 20-minute reading comprehension practice routine. So, daily 20-minute reading comprehension practice routine. Now, obviously, we know that what CAT is not very far. If you look at the today's date, so today is 18 October, Saturday, and you would find out it's not even a 1 month, right? Or you can say that exactly 1 month, to 1 month or 5 or 6 days, right? So in this 1 month, what you supposed to do? You need to focus certain things. Let me give you some ways and some ways to practice yourself. So what you do actually and how you do your preparation. Let's say that when you talk about DILR section, quant, and English, so in these three areas, we know that DILR and quant, but it takes time and it has actually, you know, particular ways to handle. But when we come for the English section, we find out that English is fast, right? And we need to focus on what rigorous reading as well as practicing mock test, all such kind of a things one has to do, right? But my suggestion is what you try to make a continuous effort or make a kind of a routine which you will follow with the discipline, isn't it? Let's say that you read daily 20-minute RC, right? So it's a kind of a routine that you need to practice. So daily 20-minute RC practice routine, right? So what your job? Choose the right passes, do the 2 3 minutes, right? So pick one short editorial or feature article around 500 to 700 words. So the best sources that you can get is you can say that the Guardian, or Opinion, or Society section, isn't it? So even you can talk about that beside the Guardian, you can go with the Economist in that particular means magazine or newspaper. You also find out the section is called as the Books and Arts or Science and Technology. So you can talk about the Guardian, you can talk about the Economist, you can also go for the New York Times. New York Times, where you also find out ideas or Sunday Review. So you can also go for the Time or the Week. So these are the famous means you can say that sources or the means uh, materials that you can follow for enhancing your RC section or reading section, as well as means you can also find out the kind of articles in them, so which deal with ideas like you can say culture, mind, technology, ethics. So not just a plain news, right? That is the first one. Second one means I would say that read once for the big picture for 5 minutes. Read once for the big picture for 5 minutes. Read the passage once without stopping for vocabulary. We all know that vocabulary is the hindrance or creating barrier. But if you if you look at the uh, CAT perspective, you need to anyhow attain the passages, right? And vocabulary shall not create a problem to you, right? Because you may find out 10 to 12 difficult vocabulary in the passage. Out of them, five of the vocabulary which may not be understood to you, right? But your job is to what? Means your job is to understand the complete passage, isn't it? So therefore, my suggestion is called as to read the passage once without stopping for vocabulary. After reading, answer in your mind or chat down, right? So you need to think of it like what kind of a question that should come to your mind. It's something like what is the main idea of the passage, and that you write in a one sentence, isn't it? Second, it's called as a what is the author doing. So does the author explaining? Does the author arguing? Does the author tracing history? Does the author comparing? Does the author criticizing? What is the author doing? Right. So third is called as a how does the passage begin and end? So you need to look at that. Means what is the tone of the passage, and means what does the author state in the first paragraph of the passage? How does the author end the passage? Isn't it? Let's say that if you talk about an example, you can say the passage tries to identify how modern happiness research borrows ideas from ancient philosophy. right? So in that case, if you see, this step actually trains you. This step trains you or trains your macro reading ability, seeing the structure, not the details, right? So all such kind of a things which supposed to be used in the second step. Then, if I talk about the third step, what would be the third step? The third step is called as a scan for structure, and that should be taken 3 minutes. Now, understand what did I say? The first thing is called as a your job is to make a routine, right? A routine of RC practice. So, in that first step, you need to follow the which one is the right passage that you're supposed to do. So, and that should be taken 2 to 3 minutes, right? So pick one editorial or feature article around 500 to 700 words. So, and in the sources that I pointed. Second is called as a, excuse. Second, I said that what the read once for the big picture, right? That also should be 5 minutes. Then I talk about the scan for structure, 3 minutes. So why this scan for structure? Now, because your job is to, when you scan the structure, you need to quickly underline or create the note, right? So you need to observe that the keywords like however, thus, therefore, in contrast, significantly, those are the discourse markers you need to find out in the passage or you need to quickly underline. Examples and list, like mark them as supporting, not central, right? So, and you also need to think of the tone words. When you say tone words, it means you need to say that unfortunately, surprisingly, inevitably, or surely. So why? Because they hint at the author's attitude, right? What does the author try to means, present you? So ask yourself, how do you, means, there are many paragraphs in the passage, right? How do these paragraphs connect to one another? So which paragraph is the cause and which paragraph is the effect of it? And whether cause and effect is presented in different paragraphs or means that finds out in a one particular paragraph, right? So, and how the paragraphs are means sequentially presented, chronology. What is the chronology of it? So, and do we find out author present one particular idea, or does the author also means what you can say contrast his points or his argument given above or means given later, isn't it? So, because what happened actually when you find out the complex passage, right? When you find out the complex passage, so the scan for structure makes complex passes feel organized, isn't it? So that is what again called as what a scan for structure. So for means choosing the right passes, you need to 2 to 3 minutes, and means reading that passes need to 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Scan for structure 3 minutes, 10 minutes. Obviously, there are students who used to say that they need to do the passes with the accuracy is it's somehow called as a 7 to 8 minutes. But I would say that why don't you take it 10 minutes, but focus on 100% accuracy, isn't it? Because the target is called as a means not the number of the question, but the percentage of accuracy, isn't it? So that is what you need to follow. Now, the step four is called as a self-question practice. Let's say that here also, I would take some time here because when you talk about self-question practice, it means what? You need to make 4 to 5 quick questions yourself, right? Like which I told you earlier. So just like exam ones, right? So try the kind of a pattern Delhi, right? So the answer then means yourself in your own words. Finally, you read again the text and verify that which line gave your answer, right? So why? Because this helps your anchor or support every answer to text evidence, isn't it? So therefore, when we talk about means in these four different states, what do we find out? Means we find out means what you can say that choosing the right passage, then after reading it for the big picture and scanning for structure, and then after self question, isn't it? Now, generally, if you talk about that, there are three different areas we find out in passages. One is called as a type of the passage or type of the question. So, and what that question and what actually the expert want to test. Let's say that if the question is asked about the main idea or the central idea of the passage, then it is nothing but given in a question form what is the passage mainly about? What is the passage mainly about? So in this means what does the expert try to test? That experts try to test that whether the students able to identify theme or not, right? Theme or moral of the text or not. Second is called as a means another type is called as a tone of the author, tone of the passage, general attitude, or maybe called as the author has given means some kind of a word in the question and ask you to means what does that word infer, right? Or what does that line infer? Or if I give you a very simple question, what is the author's attitude? It means what? Means the target that the author or the expert want to assess the students is nothing but whether the students able to detect bias or emotion, right? Whether the students able to detect bias or emotion, isn't it? So likewise, also we can find out another type is called as inference-based question. So generally, we find out inference-based questions are what we can say that inference-based questions are um, presented in a huge manner. Like you may find out the question which of these can be concluded, which of these can be concluded. So the target is what? The target is called as a, when the students read the text, whether the students logically infer what did he read, isn't it? So sometimes also students have been tested with the words or phrases like they ask what does means X mean or X mean in this line or what is that what is that line implied in the concluding paragraph, isn't it? So in that case they may ask you the questions which job is to nothing but assess the student's ability on vocabulary, whether students able to interpret the meaning of the means of vocabulary or meaning of that line means which may have a figurative or which may have a means exact meaning. But that's again on the basis of the context whether the students draw that or not. Right. So sometimes also we find out questions which are known as except based question. Right. So if you talk about the type of the question, except based question, like sometimes they give you means all the options given, all the choices given below are true on the basis of the author's argument or author's means ideas in the passage, except. It means what? That here the experts try to uh, assess the students that how careful the students able to eliminate and to find out the right answer, isn't it? So in that case, if I talk about that, means one has to one has to create the kind of means create the kind of means uh, preparation in such a way that he or she must have these are the things in mind, like how to deal with the passage, right? So let's say that you read a kind of a material, right? So and then after what do? You will close the material, and then after you need to write or say aloud with a 2 to 3 sentence summary, right? Covering like what the author is talking about, how the argument develops, and what is the conclusion or final point, right? Let's say that if I if I talk about that, the author explains how the idea of the unconscious evolved in the 18th and 19th century, right? So the author explains what how the idea of the unconscious changed in the 18th and 19th century as different disciplines explored the mind. A new shared vocabulary came out, right? And this culminated in Trott's psychoanalytical idea of the unconscious. So you know what happened? Builds speed. This builds speed in summarizing and spotting central argument. Right. Now, compare your answer like after means if you are working in a or if you are means, doing the kind of a test or giving the kind of a test or solving the handouts in the class. So you compare your answers with a friend, right? So and then after, see means whether your idea is relevant or not, right? Your main idea and whether the inference match or not, right? So in that case, after reading a paragraph, means you rewrite it in one line, no extra words, right? So you make a kind of a text comparison drill, right? And that you do means uh, every time, right or not? So, what I want to point out here that when you are when you are doing this, you are doing nothing but what getting involved into the passages, and you understand that the way author has written the passage and the way the questions come out from the passages or taken created from the passages, right? Which actually means make you familiarity and feel like what means easy, right? So you don't carry the kind of a fear in you, isn't it? So, well, what I would like to tell you also that means this 20-minute RC practice routine where you follow with the right passage, 2 to 3 minutes, read it for the big picture, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, scan for structure, 3 minutes, then self question practice, 7 to 8 minutes. So then 1 minute summary, 2 minutes. Then after means make or take it optional if you have 5 extra minutes. Compare your ideas with your friend if your friend also follows the same, right? So and you can also go with the what the kind of a comprehension drill. Test take it comprehension drill. It should take 2 minutes because after reading a paragraph, you need to rewrite it in one line, no extra words, right? So in that case, you have taken nothing but called as a 20-minute RC practice routine, isn't it? That is what you can do. You can then also follow the 7-day RC practice schedule. Right? 7-day RC practice schedule means I'm talking about a week. So by doing what actually you take with one real article suggestion for each day. Every day you take one real article suggestion. So plus what skill to focus on? What skill to focus on? Each day has what article source suggestion. So second is called the focus skill. Third is called as a what to do while reading. Fourth is called as a mini self task, like optional but powerful. Let's say that the first one, which I said that it's called as article source suggestion. So if I say that article source suggestion, so the first day you can go with the Guardian, right? And you check that source is called as the Guardian Ideas and Philosophy section. Ideas and Philosophy section. So you need to also find out that what is that article type. The article type is nothing but called as a concept development or idea history. Concept development or idea history. So what you're supposed to focus in this particular part? Now, the focus skill will be what? Finding main idea. What is the main idea of this particular means article? So plus passage structure, how the passage is created. Example article, like you can say, you read about sigmoid fraud. You search on the Guardian and you find out that what means why we still read fraud, right? Why we still read fraud. So that can be taken as an example article. So what to do? Now read once to identify how the idea develops in that passage. Second, you need to write one sentence for each paragraph's row, each paragraph. So what the first paragraph plays? So the first paragraph is nothing but an introduction. Second paragraph that builds with the example. Third paragraph means links with that example. And fourth paragraph is summing up and it as a conclusion. Isn't it? So once you find out that means all these things or all these understanding, your job is to make a mini task. What is that mini task? Mini task could be called as a summarizing the whole passage in 3 lines, right? Summarizing the whole passage in 3 lines. This is the first day task, right? Second day task is what? Means again you go for the search, right? So again you go for the article source suggestion. Again you go for the focus skills. Again you go for the means of what to do while reading. Again you go for the mini self task, right? Let's say that in the second day you go with not the Guardian but the Economist, right? Science and technology that you follow. So what kind of article you supposed to choose? You're supposed to choose the analytical. Analytical in the sense you see that cause and type, pros and cons, isn't it? So that is what the article type, analytical, cause, effect, or merit and demerit, or called as a pros and cons, right? So what the thing you need to focus here as the focus skill. So the focus skill is called as a cause and effect and transition tracking. Transition tracking. Example, like you can say that example, you take the example of any article like which is pointing about AI, artificial intelligence, how artificial intelligence is changing the way we work, right? How artificial intelligence is changing the way we work, right? Now, what to do here? Now, you need to mark every cause or effect, every cause or effect connector. Like you can say because, therefore, thus, as a result, isn't it? These are the things what called as a connector. So, and they generally tell us about what? They generally tell us about the means what to do with this. So then you would find out that the fourth one is called the mini task. The mini task is nothing but you need to you need to write a short note, like the author argues that, the author therefore, the author however, right? So the author argues that, or the author however, the author means therefore, isn't it? So this is something called as a taking to the second day. Likewise, you also go with the third day practice. In the third day practice, you shall not visit to the guardian or what as a what you can say economist, the economist. You go with the third day with the New York Times, like you can say Sunday Review or opinion based. So in this article type, we know that opinion or argument based. And here means the focus skill is nothing but called as identifying author's tone and author's viewpoint. So take the example article like the problem with constant happiness. Right. Now what to do with this? You need to underline adjectives and emotional words. Right. You need to underline what adjectives and emotional words like unfortunately, strikingly, or hopefully. These are the words that generally tell you uh, the viewpoint or tone of the author, right? So in this, you need to choose the tone, like whether the tone of the text is a critical, tone of the author is harsh, or tone of the author is called as ironic, or the text is reflective, analytical. So that you need to justify with the one line, right? So that is what you can say. The third day you can go for. But I told you 7 day, right? So the day four. you can go with the again means another source. The source could be what? The article source suggestion could be called as the week. You can go with the week. So in that particular source, you can go for the science or society feature. Science or society feature. Like here you would find out the article type would be explanatory, or you can say balanced discussion, isn't it? So means explanatory or balanced discussion. So here we need to focus skill is nothing but inference plus reading between lines. So, example article like you can say, can technology ever replace empathy? Can technology ever replace empathy? So, what to do with this? Now, you need to ask after each paragraph, what did I infer or what did I infer that's not directly stated, right? So, in that case, what did I infer or what can I infer that's not directly stated? So, here also you need to follow with the mini task. It's called as a write two inferred ideas with the line numbers that hint at them. Right. Then we need to move for the day five. In the fifth day, we go with the what Time magazine. Or you can say that when we talk about Time magazine or in day five, we can look for the look for the article type which will help us to uh, give the idea about world or culture, right? So, or you can say historical or cultural commentary. So, and the focus skill is nothing but what cultural chronological mapping, right? Chronological mapping or sequence of ideas, right? Let's say that the example is called as how the idea of progress changed over centuries. How the idea of progress changed over centuries. So, what to do here? Now, you need to label sections in order, like what is the early idea, so and what is the early idea and how it has changed, and what is the modern stage, what is the author's comment on early idea change and modern stage. So, you need to sketch a quick timeline within or with four short bullets, isn't it? So, what happened in this? Here you would find out means, uh, big task because day five is something which tell us that what somehow you uh, get some idea, right? That how to tackle with the uh, English reading section. So now let's move to the sixth day six. In day six, what we supposed to do? We're supposed to follow with the another article source that called as the Economist, right? And when we go for the Economist, we know that many of the texts find out in the CAT exams, which are actually means indicate which can be considered as the books and arts review, right? Let's say that if you talk about mixed means article type, we can say that mixed, or you say factual plus interpretive. So it's a mixed, like you can say factual plus interpretive. So and here the focus skill is what? Means the focus skill is nothing but word meaning in a context, word meaning in context plus public interpretation. So like you can say the mind of creativity, the mind of creativity, reviewing a new biography of John. So what to do here? Now you can find out that means pick three difficult words or phrases, and you try to guess the meaning from context before checking. Right. So this is a kind of a thing that one has to do. And here means one has to write each guessed meaning in one's own words and note how it actually contextually helped, isn't it? So that is the task of day six. If I go for the day seven, what I find out, day seven is nothing but the ending day, and this is the day where you need to see the review, right? Your review day. So review day means what? Now any article you liked most this week, any article you liked most this week. You need to focus that called the consolidation. Consolidation means what? Integrate all strategies, right? Integrate all strategies means, and you need to understand yourself that what you're supposed to do. Reread that passage, but this time means your job is to make five cat style questions. Five cat style questions, like you can say main idea, tone, inference, meaning in context, and etc. type. So then answer them using your elimination logic. So remember that means you need to judge which question type felt hardest. So that is your next week's focus, right? So all total, if you talk about that, if you are going for the this 7 days means practice, you need to follow the plan or prepare a plan, and you need to also understand how to use this plan. The step like what to read the article fully, right? Read the article fully means 6 to 8 minutes. You take it, understand the structure. So second is called that you need to scan plus annotate. This will take again called so 4 to 5 minutes. So and mark the important words or keywords and transition words. Third is called which is self question and self answer. Self question and answer. That also take 5 to 6 minutes. So if you are going for the 4 to 5 question, isn't it? Then you would find out the fourth one, which is called as a quick summary. So you take 2 minutes quick summary, write 2 to 3 sentences about it. So read the article fully, scan plus means annotate, self question and answer, then quick summary. Right. Total you can take 18 to 20 minutes per every day. Right. So to make yourself means make yourself better in the arts section, right? So that is the first way. Likewise also I would suggest one to go for the week two. In week two what one has to do, in week two one has to go for the advanced RC practice schedule. So one has to create. So that should be what again 20 to 25 minute day, right? So in that, in the first day, one has to follow with the philosophy or psychology based passages, right? So for that, one can go for the conversation, right? Let's talk about that. The conversation. So what is that? So you search in the so Google, you would find out that. So the conversation is nothing but a kind of topic which is taken from philosophy or psychology, isn't it? So the topic means the main idea from that text would come out as what does the conversation mean to be conscious? So it means the conversation plus what does it mean to be conscious, right? So here, the focus which we find, find out, our students find out, is nothing but understanding abstract definition. Understanding what? Abstract definitions and conceptual flow, right? So when you talk about abstract means called as a imaginary, right? And the conceptual flow, you need to understand what does this this topic mean, and means how I can understand the complete passage. So what are the strategies supposed to follow? Like you need to track how each paragraph defines or refines consciousness, right? So you need to, move, shift like from physical, mental, and philosophical. Physical, mental, or philosophical. You need to practice questions from the philosophy and psychology, would be what is the author's central argument about uh, any topic, or you can say about consciousness. Like here, I took it as the example. Second, like how does the author differentiate physical awareness from self awareness? So, which line signals the turning point in the argument? And you may also find out tone-based questions like whether the tone of the text or tone of the author is analytical, critical, or speculative. What is that? So that's again called as the first day you go with the conversation source. Then second day you can go for some Eon essays, right? Eon essays means what? The first we went for the conversation and we focused toward the philosophy or psychology. So where we talk about central argument and differentiation between uh, two things, or called as the signal that helps you to change the argument or turning point in the argument. So, or you may find out tone-based questions. So, in the day two, you can go for the not philosophical or psychology, say philosophical or psychology-based passage. You can go for the means science and human behavior, science and human behavior. Like you can go with the Eon essays, right? Let's say that the topic you can go for is called as why we sleep, the mystery that still puzzles science. Why we sleep, the mystery that still puzzles science. So here the focus is called as a cause and effect, reasoning and inference. Cause and effect and reasoning and inference. So here also you need to focus certain strategy like identify every cause and its effect. Right. So means what was the matter and how means or what could be the effect of this matter. So ask also what assumptions are behind the claims. What assumptions are behind the claims? So you need to practice questions like which of the following best summarizes the author's position, which statement is implied but not stated directly, why does the author call sleep a paradox, what tone shift occurs between paragraph 3 and 4, isn't it? So again called as a beside the first day, the second day, first, second week, first day would be what the conversation focusing on philosophy or psychology, right? Second day of the second week is called a Eon essay. You can follow with the science and human behavior. Then third day, you can go for the gesture, JSTOR, gesture Delhi, right? So, gesture Delhi generally referring to the cultural history or literature. So, we find out the topic that uh, the topic you can say the rise of the romantic imagination, the rise of the romantic imagination, and here the focus is called as a chronological understanding and tone detection. Chronological understanding and tone detection. Like you, one has to mark timeline words. Like you can say initially, latter, eventually, however, meanwhile. So these are nothing but called as a timeline words, right? So and one has to follow the strategy that identify the tone, whether the tone is a nostalgia or nostalgic, admiring or critical. So, and here also one has to prepare some practice questions, like you can say, what does the passage suggest about the influence of romanticism on modern thought? So, which sentence expresses a shift from description to judgment? So, even means so you may find out some of the tone-based questions like which adjective best captures the author's tone. So even you may find out the inference-based question, which inference cannot be drawn from the passage, right? Or means uh, which of the choice that least infer the author's argument, right? Uh, Least infer from the author's argument. So in that case, means uh, these are the nothing but a sample question or practice question you one has to follow. So then we move to the fourth, day four. In day four, we can go for the economist, right? When we say that economist, we can think of technology and society. Do you see different myriad subject types have been given? So, like you can say that means for the advanced RC practice, one can go for the philosophy or psychology, and for that, he or she can go for the conversation. Second, the second day, one can go for the Eon essays and focusing with the science and human behavior. And third day is a gesture telling, right, where one can follow for the cultural history or literature, right? So then one can go for the economist, technology and society. So, and this is the day four. In this day four, means one can read variety of topics pertain to the technology and society. So one of the topics that can be means, popular and read also, that is about AI and the illusion of understanding. So in this particular topic, you may find out the kind of a question that is tested or that are tested. It's called as a main idea, author's viewpoint, and you may find out subtle criticism. So that is the focus area. So what are the strategy one has to follow? Now one has to follow where the author means identify the places or identify the line where the author agrees or disagrees with the common assumption, agrees or disagrees with common assumptions, right? So you need to mark opinion indicators like claims, the the particular author claims, the particular scientist claims, believes, argues, or criticizes. So one can also practice questions like what does the author mean by illusion of understanding? What evidence goes the what evidence does the author use to support the claim? Which line signals the author's disapproval? All of the following, if true, right? So explain the author's argument, or all of the following are true except one, isn't it? So this is again called as the economist, right? The source. Then you can find out the next day or day five, which is you can go for the another source that can be taken from the Guardian, is called as a culture and psychology, cultural psychology. So here you can follow the topic called as a how language shapes our thought, because you are talking about culture and or psychology. So in this, you may find out the topic which is referring to how language shapes our thoughts. And here the focus is what? Now, here the focus is called as a linking examples to the central argument, right? So here you need to follow the strategy. It's called as each example, right? Each example, like let's talk about the example, it's called as a color words, direction signs. So these are nothing but the example. But these examples means pointing what, or what point does it prove, right? So don't get stuck in examples. Actually, sometimes students, what happened? Students get into the trap, and students get into the kind of difficulty for which what happened means this they they eat their time, right? So that is why it is a piece of advice student has to take, that called as do not get stuck in examples. So keep linking them to the theory or thesis, isn't it? So in that case, the premeditate thing one can do is called as a practice questions. You may find out many of the questions pertain to culture or psychology. It's called as what is the author's main claim about language and thought? You may find out the question called as how do the examples from other cultures strengthen the argument? Which option best restates the final paragraph? What can be inferred about universal thought process? Isn't it? So these are the kind of means sample questions that one has to understand when one goes for the culture or psychology test. So likewise, we can also think of what we can think of the next day, day six, which is about you can go for the um, you can go for the source, that is known as the Atlantic, right? So the Atlantic, and in that source, you can go for the topic called as the science and ethics, right? When we talk about science and ethics, it means you may find out here the focus is called as the testing the students on focus argumentation, right? Focus argumentation. So you also find out questions would be definitely related to accept, right? So you can say that what the topic that represents like the limits of human rationality, the limits of human rationality. You can take it an example, and in this topic, what happened? The focus is called as make the students think, right? So and the difficulty level is a little bit higher. So here one has to follow the strategies called as the note the contrast. Note the contrast between rationality and emotion. Rationality and emotion. And second thing is called to mark every contrast word like however, yet, but. Why? Because they signal argument terms. They signal what? Now how the argument turns or how the argument changes. So one can focus with the practice questions like the author's main concern is to what? The author's main concern is to whether refute, analyze, or justify. What does the author try to do? Right? Second is called the two, which means which claim would the author most likely reject? So third is called a joke. Which of the following best captures the tone of the conclusion? And means you may find out that you can say all are valid inferences except one that doesn't valid to the author's uh, conclusion given in the text, right? So in that case, it is again called as inference-based questions, right? So this is day 6. You can also go for the day 7. In day 7, with that, we will able to complete the 2 week strategy. So day 7 is indicating about review day. Again, like in the first week, we also follow the review day in the last day of the week. And similar to that, also in the second, um, you can say that second week, we also follow the review day. And in this review day, what do? We do nothing but mix and reflect. Mix and reflect means we can pick any two passages that we find out most challenging in that week. So, and the focus is nothing but what? Means finding our own personal weak points. Integration, find our own personal weak points. So, and what supposed to do? What do we supposed to do? Now we need to follow the strategy like redo them. Redo means what? Do it again. So redo them, but summarize each paragraph in one line only. So, and we need to also compare our summaries to check whether means we captured cause, effect, or argument flow correctly. Isn't it? So here also we follow some of the reflection-based questions, and like you can say, which question type still confuses me, right? That also we need to see which question type still confuse me. Do I miss a tone or called as a inference? Do I miss tone or inference clues given in the text? So and means um, which reading speed I follow. So whether I follow the slow means at the first part means I read with the slowly. I read the passages in a slowly manner, and then after I went second time, and in the second part means I scan, right. So will that works best for me or not? So generally, what happens means when you go for the any passage, so and you find out it's a very difficult one. So you try to understand the passage, and for understanding, you go slowly, right? So, but again, when you go to the question and try to identify the correct answer, you reread it, right? Reread it means you are not reading like the former, like the earlier. So you read like what? You scan the passage. You scan the passage, isn't it? But it's again called as it depend upon the student, right? Whether it is best for him or not. So means what happened? Sometimes we go to the question and we read the question. Then after we feel like, oh, okay, these questions are understandable. This question asks particular means a topic. So and this topic is familiar to me. So can I assume what could be the answer? Whether the answer is given in the choices, and without even reading the passage, we means get the sense like this could be the choice that goes with the question's answer. But or sometime also it's again called as a not to be overconfident. You do nothing but go for the reading and check it because uh, you know even if you are sure, you may find out means close options would be there. So your job is to find out which one is the better, right, or the best option, isn't it? So, fine. This is something called as a day seven. That's called as a review day. And in this day, mix and reflect that you follow. You need to go for the kind of a, what you can say that kind of a handout or kind of a passage that you find out most challenging and that week, and you try to redo them, right? So, at the end of the week, or you can say that by the end of the week too, you will be able to, at least handle, you will be able to handle dense academic text without panicking, without getting afraid or fear, isn't it? Second is called as you able to identify main argument versus examples quickly. Third is called as you also use evidence lines for every inference, and fourth is called as you eliminate confidently on tricky, except least, most, best, right questions. So that's what you would find out. Fine, I'll go for the week three plan. Um, well, when I said that week three plan means the next is called as where we move to exam simulation, right? Like actual timed RC sets with the answer reasoning, right? Plus elimination practice that we need to follow in week three. Yeah. So I was telling about the third week plan. So week three plan is what that um, you need to follow with the actual timed RC sets with answer reasoning plus elimination practice that you need to follow. So when I say exam simulation week, what do you mean by that? It means you will practice full passes plus question sets, just like in competitive exams, right? Just like in CAT, right? So each day you will include what means you will include passage type, source, or topic. So you focus skill, you go step by step strategy, you focus practice style, like you can say means timed elimination summary, all such kind of a thing that you need to follow. So in week three means what happened actually, um, you need to at least give 35 to 45 minutes every day, right? So why? Because if I plan for the week 3, then I'll focus with the first day with the CAT style conceptual RC. CAT style conceptual RC, like you can say philosophy or mind and language, right? So maybe the topic related to the conscious and the birth of modern psychology, right? So you can say that similar to the one uh, that you find out in that you found out in the 21 and CAT exam paper. So and here the focus is what? Mapping argument structure. So the focus is called as a mapping argument structure, matching ideas and with the technical terms. So and uh, beside that also you need to follow strategy. Strategy like what you can say, read first and the last sentences, the first and last sentences of each paragraph. Then find the progression, right? Second is called as a mark abstract nouns, like you can say mind, perception, consciousness. These are the abstract nouns that you need to see. So third is called as while answering, ask, is this a fact or not? Is this the interpretation or is this correct interpretation or whatever I infer is correct or not? Isn't it? So that is what is nothing but called as a useful strategy one needs to do. So the thing is that what when one goes for the practice mode, what happened means one has to read 15-minute timed test. 15-minute timed test means um, without getting derailed, without getting distracted. Then means he has to go for the 10-minute review, right? Find which line proves or disproves means whatever the answer I have wanted, isn't it? So that could be considered as the means of first day, right? Second day is second day of the means third week, where you can go for the any of the RC means which is pointing like the economist RC, like technology and society. So where you can follow the means topic called as the price of innovation. Are we losing privacy for progress? Are we losing privacy for progress? So here you need to see that the focus is called as whether author's tone and purpose, and we need to see the question types ask about the except, best, least, most, and inference, strengthening or weakening best. Um, so it means what? Means it asks us to go for the elimination. So what kind of a strategy I need to follow? I need to identify the thesis. I need to identify thesis sentence. So thesis sentence where the author reveals attitude, right? So second is called as a for accept best question, best or least best question. I need to mark all the true statements, right? Eliminate also, and I need to also go for the remaining one, which is a false or which is means the best or which is the most or which is the least, right? So here also I need to focus with the what the 10-minute timed RC plus 5 question analysis. So I need to go for the means one for the tone, one for the inference, one for the accept, and other two could be a strengthening or um, strengthening or weakening, or maybe assumption based questions. Right. So that is again called as the third week, day two. Day three of third week, one can go for the another, you can say that which I pointed, Eon, right? So obviously, Eon or the Atlantic RC, where um, one can find out the topic called as a science and ethics, or subject types is known as a science and ethics, and the topic could be can machines be moral, right? Can machines be moral? So here the focus is called as a means one has to see the cause for the effect logic, assumption, and counter argumentary recognition. So the strategy is nothing but circle every contrast words. Every contrast word, like that may be however, yet, or but. So, and second is called as after reading, write a 3 word summary of each paragraph. So, and third is called as while answering, pick opinions or called as pick opinions from your teacher and find out or maybe called as check with your friends also. Pick up means you may also pick options that match author's understanding if you have the answer, not just facts. So here one can go for the what 15-minute timed RC plus 10-minute detailed understanding. So, and one need to understand why other three options are there. That's a very important thing, right? So, this could be known as the third week, third day. Now, third week, fourth day. So, one can go for the guardian, right? Or means you can say NYTRC, where you would find out NYT, you can say. So, where you would find out the topic or subject type could be culture and language. Like you can say, the topic I recently read it is called as the language of protest. The language of protest. How means I read it in one of the cat what you can say that uh, cat paper, right? So that topic name is called as the language of protest, and it is stated that how words build movements, how words build movements. So here the focus is summary and paraphrase questions, right? The focus is what summary and paraphrase questions. Like here also you follow the strategy, like combine the first and the last paragraphs, combine the first and last paragraph. That's a 70% of the summary, right? So then you can go for the eliminate options that bring examples, right? Or something which is not in the text. So something which is overgeneralized or something which is nothing but oversimplified. And here you need to focus the practice mode. The practice mode could be what? Now you can check means two summary plus three interpretation plus one tone question. That's the practice mode one has to follow. Then we can go for the day five. In day five, we will go for the Atlantic or means Time magazine. So where we can choose the top subject type could be psychology of decision making, right? So or we can say that the topic related to the psychology could be why humans rarely choose rational, right? Why humans rarely chose rationally. So the focus here is nothing but called as logical connectors, um, how one paragraph is connected to the other paragraph, and need to see that the assumption which is hidden, right? So logical connectors and hidden assumptions. So here also we follow the strategy. The strategy could be called as a watch for casual linkers, like you can say because, therefore, so, since. These are called as a means not sorry. Yeah, I said casual linkers. It should not be casual linkers. It's a causal linkers. So cause and effect, causal linkers, like because, therefore, so, since. Second, it's called as a means one has to check also if the conclusion follows or jumps from premise. Conclusion follows or jumps from premise or not. So that's what the strategy one has to follow when one goes for the men's psychology related passages or psychology of decision making. So here one has to follow the practice mode. It's called as the amount of time to set. So mark assumption in margin. Then after test, one has to verify whether it is correct or not and analyze it. Right. So time to set, mark assumptions in margin. Then after test, one has to analyze or mark or verify whether it is correct or not. So the next one is called as a day six. In day six, one has to follow the mixed RC test or RC set, mixed RC set, which is known as an exam simulation. So exam perspective. So one can take two passages. One could be the abstract or another could be factual. One abstract plus one factual. And here the focus should be what? Endurance and quick transition. Endurance and quick transition. So here also you follow the strategy that called as a 30-minute. You follow the full simulation, try to answer all questions. Then 15-minute you try to analyze the error, right? Then means try to check that what are the errors you have done in those 15 minutes. Like you can say that you chose the answer option A. Why? Because of the misread line, which is wrong. So you chose option B, which is nothing but a misinterpreted tone. You eliminate for that. So you also typed C, means because of what? The fell for keyword trap. It means uh, one sentence which is stated about uh, hardly than, and another one is given hardly when. So you chose by mistakenly hardly than. So that's called as a fell for keyword trap. So the thing is that one has to follow the practice mode, full timed RC 10 questions that one has to follow. So, and finally, you come to the third week, day 7, which is nothing but about review and the diagnostic reflection. When I say that review and diagnostic reflection, it means you need to focus. Focus on what? Error pattern tracking. Error pattern tracking. So, what do you mean by error pattern tracking? So, there's something called as a means why you continuously or what are the errors that are happening continuously and how you can resolve that. So you need to, maintain a strategy also here that called as what? You create a mistake log. You create a mistake log for each wrong answer. So log means what you understand. You create a mistake log means you create a mistake a book, right? In create a copy where you write your mistake. What kind of a mistake you do? Like for each wrong answer, you write the reason for error. Why do you do the error? Second is called you need to identify your weakest two areas. You need to identify your weakest two areas. Like what is that two weakest areas? Let's say that whether the means weakest areas is called the inference based question, the strengthening based questions, or assumption based question, or is it a tone or summary based question? Right. So which are the means two weakest areas one has to choose. So another third strategy is called as a redo one passes from day 2 or day 3. Redo one passes from day 2 or 3, focusing only on those question types. Right. So the reflection prompts would be what? Now, which passages slow me down most? You need to check that which passages slow me down most. So, which clue words help me eliminate confidently? So, how many inferences did I justify with the text evidence? Right? So, in that case, we able to complete our goal by the end of week 3. So, we will be able to finish a 500 word passage plus 5 questions in 10-12 minutes, right? Which is means if I say that justified, right? So we will be able to eliminate wrong options using proof line logic. So we will be able to handle abstract based reading comprehensions with confidence. And we will be able to maintain accuracy more than 80% under time pressure, isn't it? So wait for final stage that I will tell you later. So till then, enjoy the video, and if you like it, please um, give your suggestion how I can do better. That's all. Thank you.